This is the Real Estate Agent Superstars podcast. I'm your host, RJ Baxter with Intercap Lending. My guest this week is Donna Ehnert with the Mint Group at EXP Realty. And Donna is going to share with us what she is doing to cultivate her client database, which is 95% of her business. Specifically, we're going to dive into a really unique strategy that she has implemented where she does an annual review with each and every one of her clients and generates a ton of business from that one strategy alone. So let's get on with the interview. Thanks for joining us, Donna. How you doing today?
Great. How are you?
Doing good. Well, how I was introducing you, you are just really an inspiration, how you've grown your business. You've been in the business since 2015. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you get into real estate?
Well, so I was licensed many years ago when my baby was a baby. But, 25 years ago, and 3 little kids, the commission structure was kind of a panic thing for me. And I'm a hygienist by trade and worked for fantastic dentists. So I just couldn't take the leap. And I was a little bit afraid of being on a fully commissioned thing. Mm-hmm. My grandma was the first woman on the board of realtors 100 years ago, in the 60s. So real estate's always kind of been in my family and in my blood and all those things. And I've always loved it. And so in 2014, 15, I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do dentistry anymore. This is not where my passion is. And so I took the leap, and it's just been an upward trajectory since then. I've been extremely blessed with incredible clients and colleagues, and it's just been a great journey since then.
That's awesome. So going way back, what was your first transaction like?
Oh, well, so the funny thing was, it's one of my husband's coworkers, and he just literally trusted me 100%. And we took off. And so I got licensed. I started working with, my previous brokerage, and I literally had a closing 30 days after my license went active because I had Travis. And since then we've done 4 transactions together. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've done 5. We just closed the 5th one. So he's kind of stepped up in his houses and, finally made it to his forever home. And I was so blessed that he trusted me to trust the process. He really wanted to be in Loveland, but he didn't have a Loveland budget. And so I was like, you know what? Trust me and buy in Platteville, not where you want to be. But if you can be in Platteville for a couple of years, we can get you to Loveland. So we just followed the plan of a couple of years, and he stayed in that cute little Platteville house for a couple of years. He doubled his money. We went to Loveland. He stayed there a couple of years, 3-4 years. We doubled that one. And then now he's in his forever home he just built. So.
Man, that's cool. 5 transactions in 8 years, 8-9 years.
Yep.
And that's a big reason why I wanted to have you on the show is you are uniquely good at cultivating your database and really serving your sphere and taking care of your clients. So was that something that was just natural to you, or did you have to develop that, or is it a little bit of each?
I think it's a little bit of each. And I think that, there are so many tools out there, it's like grabbing a big giant fire hose. And I had to really hone in on what works for me? What can I do and do well? Because if I can do a bunch of things bad, it doesn't get me anywhere. So my goal with all of my clients is they're my forever clients. I want them to send their friends and their family and their cousins and their brothers and everybody that they know. I want them to say Donna's the greatest and she helped me. And at the end of the day, that's really my goal is I want these people to be part of my family and my sphere, like my everyday. So my CrossFit box, I sell probably 10 houses a year on average out of that box, out of that group of people that I work out with every day. And that is just such a blessing to me because that's my lifestyle. Those are the people that I see every day. And then, beyond that, once you have that transaction, you got to keep them. You got to get in front of their face, because what is that average that they say, everybody knows 10 or 12 real estate agents? And you may have had a really great transaction with them, but if you don't stay in somewhat of a constant contact with them, they forget about you, you know? So
Yeah.
I have tried really to take that piece of the fire hose and go, you know, that's important to me, to stay in front of them. You know,
Mhm.
give them an annual real estate review their assets, you know, see how they're doing in their life, you know, hey, their kid graduated, or whatever it is that's happening. I want to be part of it. So I try real hard to stay involved, and again, they become my friends and my family. So that part of it's not super hard to stay involved with them, but that's really
Mhm.
what my goal is to keep them in my circle. So I'm that
Yeah.
one agent, not one of 10, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So how did you decide which things to implement and which things to say no to as you
Trial
develop
and
your
error, and
process?
what sometimes I feel like I have too much pressure on myself. And when you have all of these things that they say to do, if I can't do them all well, I'm not succeeding. So I had
Hmm.
to sit down and go, okay, I know I can touch my clients 4 or 5 times a year with, you know, a couple of little events here, or I can send them their, you know, a review of their real estate, or, you know, just a happy text to them. How's it going? You crossed my mind today, whatever it is. I know I can do those things. And so I
Hmm.
had to take the ones out of it that I know I could accomplish and accomplish well. Because if you do everything kind of halfway, I wasn't getting it done. You know what I mean?
It's
And I
like,
felt like I wasn't
yeah.
getting it done, and I wasn't. So I had to really sit down and go, okay, I can do these things and I can do them well. So could I add to it? Probably. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, I'm very consistent on a monthly basis. Everybody that closed in that month, I go through it. I send out my annual real estate review, and it's basically a review of their asset. Hey, look what your house has done for you in the last year. This is your neighborhood. This is how things are going for you. Tell me how your life is. And I write them a handwritten note. Some people I meet for coffee and I hand it to them. And then we have that touch. And that's been super successful for me. I think that's probably the most successful thing I've had in my business,
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
I wanted to dive a little bit more into that annual review because that's something that you do really well. And you were telling me how much success you have from that. So, what all is in this annual review? Like specifically, what kinds of things do you put in there?
So it's really specific to their property, their
Okay.
neighborhood. I put it in my little thing, and
Hmm.
you know, I basically, it's my little cover, and it just says, "Hey, this is what you've got and what your neighborhood has done. You're increasing the in Colorado, it's increasing. This year, it's been kind of slow, you know, like it
Hmm.
hasn't been as great as it's been in the last couple of years. But it also gives people an idea of like, hey, is it time to turn it? Is it time to keep it as a rental? Do I refinance it? Well, you know, so a lot of people don't really understand, you know, what that asset can do for them. Can I borrow against it to buy a rental? Can I, you know, I mean, there's all kinds of things that can happen
Hmm.
once you own real estate to build your real estate portfolio. So I spent a lot of time just going through like how to make their asset perform for them. So
Okay.
um, really it's their neighborhood and their house and what it can do for them in their long-term financial goals.
Okay. Okay. So for those of you listening, she held up her it's kind of like a brochure, like a
It
4 page.
is. And I put their stuff inside the center of it. So
Okay.
inside of it,
Okay.
it'll have like all of their home information, their neighborhood information,
Okay.
what's going on in their neighborhood, like statistic wise.
Hmm.
I'll do like the RPR, which is like a nationwide kind of thing in there, that this is statistically for Weld County or Larimer County or whatever county they're in, how things are going. And then for Colorado in a general, you know, overview of Colorado. So I just put it inside this and I send it out to them, and then they see my face on the front of it, and they know that Donna's sending me another review on my house, you know. And a lot of people go, "Oh,
Okay.
it's time for us to move. I didn't realize I had that much money, or I want to buy an investment property, or I want to, you know." So I think that's really been a good touch for me with my clients, for sure.
Hmm. Hmm. Is it the same data points for each client, or do you kind of mix and match according to what their
Yep.
situation is?
I do it based off of what type of property they have. So I have a lot of clients that have straight up just investment properties. I have
Ah.
some that are commercial. I have some that are, just your regular neighborhood. So
Mhm.
it's really specific to what type of property they have, what type of client they are. Are they investors? Are they just the family? Are they my tree farmers?
Mhm.
Whatever it is that it's specific to that client.
Okay, gotcha. So then on the outside cover part that you showed me, I was thinking to myself, how do you get that nice of a brochure looking thing printed for each individual person? But that's the same
It's the same for
information on
everybody.
that
It's what
cover.
goes in the inside that's different. Yeah.
Okay. What do you put on that outside cover?
On the outside cover,
Uh-huh. So
it's
I
just
see your
it's
picture
just my
there and then
information and their annual review.
okay.
Yep, and then the contact on the back, and then some, just really like this is, I'm your. I don't know if you can see it. My house is very bright.
Yeah, not the best on the camera, but it looks like
There you go. That's
oh
a little better.
about what the home value report
Yeah,
is and then a little bit
yeah.
about yourself it looks like.
Yep. A little blip. And
Yeah.
then, of course, all
Contact
my
info.
contact information on the back. And if they're
Mhm.
newer clients, sometimes I'll put some testimonials in there, like,
Mhm.
hey, this is Donna, a little bit of like wagging my, you know,
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, some of my Zillow
Um
reviews or stuff like that in there.
Gotcha. So do you call them ahead of time to see if they'd want you to deliver it by hand, or do you just automatically mail it, or how do you do that
So
part?
it really depends on the client, So I have some that, they're just straight up investors, and so I just usually just mail it to them. But most of them, I try to deliver them to them. I have a conversation. Hey, let's meet for coffee, or whatever. And a lot of times too, sometimes people are just too busy in their life, and I'll just mail it to them. I always send a
Okay.
hard copy though. I don't email it typically. I usually send a hard
Mhm.
copy in the mail so they can hold it and look at it, and do whatever they want with it. But I really try to do a sit down coffee or just a catch up on your life kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I'll send them a
Do
text or a
you
call.
gotcha. So the people you aren't able to get a hold of before you send it, do you follow up then afterwards as well? Just want to
Sometimes,
make sure you got
usually
this?
I'll get an email or a text back that says, "Hey, I got it. Thanks for thinking about me." Or, "Wow, I can't believe my house has increased so much." And yeah, so usually I'll get a touch back from them. And I
Okay.
just try
Okay.
to every month. So like, I think this month I have 22 or 23 that went out in December. And I try to
Okay.
do it in the beginning part of the month, and then I'll follow up at the end part of the month. Hey, did you get it? Do you guys have any questions? You know, if
Yeah.
I wasn't able to have coffee with them or whatever, I'll do a follow up
Mhm.
text or call and say, "Do you have any questions? Can I do it?" And sometimes people are busy and you don't really hear back from them, but you still made
Sure.
the effort. And I think that is really the important part.
And I'm sure even if you don't hear back from them, they notice it and they see it.
Yeah, yeah. Most of them text back and say, "Thanks, I got it. It was great," or yeah.
Yeah.
So I usually always get a response back.
How much time does it take you to put together each one, would you say?
Oh, probably hour ish, depending on
Okay.
how in depth it
Okay.
is. If they're commercial properties, it takes a little bit longer because you got to look up comps and
Yeah.
things like that. But so I usually dedicate a good 2 days a month to it when I'm time blocking of,
Okay. Okay.
going through my database of who closed that month. I do mine monthly. There are some in my team that do theirs once a year. I couldn't do that. That's like 400
Oh
transactions. I
man.
don't know how you do that. And I feel like for me, I'm much more successful at it doing it monthly. I go through my closings of January, February, March, whatever it is. And
Mhm.
if I have a closing in January, I add it to the list. So then next year I roll around and I know that, I've added it. So for me, it's much more efficient to do it that way because it just
Okay.
ends up being
Okay.
too much. But it's really I would say, depending on how big the month is, it's 2 to 4 days a month I spend on
Okay.
it.
Okay. Wow. So, but I mean, with the impact it has, I'm sure that's valuable time spent.
Absolutely. I think this year, 20 out of my 22 closings, I think 19 of them were previous clients or referrals from previous clients.
That's really solid.
That's
Yeah.
solid. I mean, my wheels rolling. That's the goal there, is that,
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily chasing new business. The business is coming to me. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
you mentioned you have about 22 in December. Is that a typical month? About 20, 25?
Well, that's year over year. So that's, every year I've had like
Right.
a,
No. Yeah. But
yeah.
as
Yeah.
far as your
So
whole
this,
database.
yeah. And yeah, so my database is my closing database is like I think I've got 460 or 470 in there,
Okay.
470 closings somewhere in there. Some of them fall off, like they've moved out of state or, things like that. So you don't have to follow those. But, yeah, so typically I would say between 10 and 35 or 40 real estate reviews a month.
Okay. Okay. What's your plan for, I mean, I assume you plan to continue growing your business. What's your plan to scale this? Or do you think you'll have to get to that point where maybe there's parts of this that you delegate or you can't do it all?
So I'm a bit of a control freak. That's a hard thing for me.
It's a scary word, delegate.
I don't really, that's a hard thing. And I think
Yeah.
this part of it I'll always probably touch, just because I think that's the personal aspect of it that, they want to see that I am, being their trusted advisor. I am looking at their asset. I am reviewing it with them. That to me is an important aspect of it. I don't know that I'll delegate that out. Other parts of my business for sure. Like I have somebody who helps me with my social media and I have people that help me with, like the back end of it, which, like bookkeeping and things like that, because I don't have the space for it and I'm not good at those things. I'm really good at being in interaction with my clients.
Yeah.
That's where my skill set is. So I have to pick and choose what those things are that I have to let somebody else do for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. It's so hard to let go of that
It
stuff.
is. And that's what really, I think, honestly makes me really good at my job too, because I'm a chaser. I really want to, I want to get it done, do it right, make sure that it's okay. And not that everybody else can't do it. I just feel like I have to do it. Do you know what I mean? So it's really hard for me to let, especially the part that is, that one-on-one, I need to have it with my clients. And so this part of it is something I probably will never delegate out.
Okay.
Plus,
Well,
I think I need to be educated on if I delegated that out of, someone else doing that review and I get a call from my client, and of course I would review it or whatever. But if I don't really look at the data and don't really understand it and I get a call, I have to be able to regurgitate that to them in an educated manner. And if I wasn't the one that did it, I don't know that I would feel confident enough in sharing that,
That's a really good point.
So for me, I have to touch that and make sure that I'm reviewing it and knowing that the data that I'm giving them, the information I'm giving them is solid. So
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You do a lot of other really fun and unique things. One that you mentioned is your lottery ticket strategy or marketing effort. Tell me more about that.
Well, so I feel like at Christmas, I don't know if you feel this way, at the holidays, I feel like there's just this bombarded of stuff, there's cards and gifts and things like that. And I was really struggling with how do I touch my clients at the holidays to say thank you to them and not get caught up in that, oh, it's another card, it's another, So I started thinking about what I could buy you a pie, but at the end of the day, I felt like I wanted to make a difference in something that maybe I could be helpful to someone else. So last year I started doing this where I made a donation to something that was important to me. And last year I did the Street Dog Coalition, which is a nonprofit that helps families that are homeowners that have pets that are at risk of losing their homes or whatever. And so I made a pretty substantial donation in my clients' names. And so in January, I sent the little card along and said, hey, I made a donation and here, Happy New Year. So I send a New Year's card every year that says, I want, for a great, happy, prosperous new year. And then I send a scratch card and say, just a lotto ticket and say, hey, shoot me a picture of you scratching this if you win anything. And I got the cutest pictures back from people that were like, I won $2 or, I won $5 or whatever. And I think the most was 25, but still at the end of the day, they thought it was really fun. And it was cute. So I got a lot of interaction with it. And I think I'm going to do that again. I don't know what charity I'm going to pick yet this year. I have to kind of do a little bit of research on that and see which one I want to use this year. But I just felt like I can make a bit bigger impact than buying somebody a pie. I don't know. That was my thought. And everybody thought it was super fun. So that was kind of my goal this year, do it again.
Yeah. Well, it's different. I mean, I've heard that strategy before, but not anyone that is actually implementing.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Yeah.
I hear a lot of people delivering pies,
Yeah.
but I love the interactive part of that lottery ticket.
Right. Send me a picture. And I probably got 10 or 15 little goofy little snapshots from people sending me a picture of their scratch card with sad faces or, $2,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I thought that was a lot of fun. So
That's
that's
really
what I'm
cool.
going to do that again.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you hand write all those addresses on the
Yes,
envelopes?
I handwrite them all. And I write everybody a little note that says, wishing you the best in your family. And yeah, I handwrite them all. Yeah.
You must have a strong writing hand.
It takes me a good couple of days, I'll be honest with you. If I can get it out in January, I'm like, yeah.
Right,
So
yeah.
that's my, the beginning part of January, and it takes me a while to get them out. So that's my plan.
Yeah, you are incredible on that. That's amazing.
Well, I'm trying to be. So that's picking the things that I know I can get done. And that's I know I can get that done. I don't know that I can deliver 300 pies.
That's a lot of driving. Yeah.
So
I did one year for my referral partners, and it was probably 50 that I delivered. And even that took a long time driving around town, and I'm down in Denver. So it's a lot more,
Well, I have clients all over the Front Range. Literally,
Okay.
I sell from, the Wyoming border all the way down. I have a listing right now in Glade Park, which is on the western slope. So I mean, I'm kind of all over the place. I just can't. I just can't do it.
That'd be driving that much would be nuts.
I just can't. So it's choosing what I can do and do well.
So well, that's really wise of you to realize that. So I think that's a common thing, like you said. Jack of many trades, master of none, or whatever the phrase is.
Right. Exactly.
So, and completing your bridges. Have you ever heard that term?
I have heard that term. Yeah.
So a lot of people start building bridges, but they never finish the bridge.
Absolutely.
So,
and I think honestly, at the end of the day, I know when we first, when my team and I came out and joined EXP, and we started our logos and making up our own stuff, and I was like, we just got to go. And there was a lot of time where a couple of my colleagues were like, we can't, it's not perfect. And I was like, nobody's going to notice if they don't love the logo.
Yeah. They don't have a preconceived notion as to what it should be. They don't have an idea.
And so at the end of the day, we just went because we had to, we couldn't spend too much time in the weeds on what that logo looked like, and since then we've kind of morphed it and it looks a lot better. But again, that's completing the task. We have to complete the task before we can move on to the next thing. And if we can't get that task completed, we can't move on to the next thing. So sometimes is it always perfect? No. But
there's another phrase There's another phrase I love. Perfection is the enemy of progress.
Absolutely. A
lot of us get caught up in that perfection thing.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. Well, something else you do really well is you hold some events every year for your clients. What kinds of things do you do on that?
So this year we did axe throwing.
Okay.
Which was kind of fun. It was actually a lot of fun. So we just rented a place out and provided food and stuff and had it for like 3 or 4 hours. And we did it in Boulder, and it was a lot of entertainment. We did that one in the spring. And then in the fall this year, we did a pumpkin patch where we hired a professional photographer to come out and everybody could take their pictures for their fall or Christmas cards or whatever. And we provided food, and there was a pumpkin patch and just some fun stuff for the kiddos. And that's been, I would say like, it's kind of a hit or miss, like sometimes I get a lot of clients, and this last time I had like 5. So, but again, they get to see that invitation we're trying to do them quarterly, but we got to, when we switch brokerages and starting that back up again, we got 2 in this year, which I was very thankful that we were able to get 2 in. And we did have, the people that are your core clients that love you and refer you, and they always show up, and I'm always so thankful to see them. So it was great that both events came off really well this year. So we're going to
So at axe throwing, was it where you were standing against the target and they got to
like,
Like
No,
try to miss
no,
you?
no, no, no. We had like some teams. It was actually a lot of fun. And crazy enough, I was actually pretty good at it. My husband was a little concerned because I was like
Oh, yeah.
right on the target every time. So it was a lot of fun.
I
That one
can't.
was a lot of fun. I would do that again.
Where did you do that? Is there one up your way, or was it down
No,
in
we did it in
Denver? Or?
Boulder. It's like right off of Pearl and
Oh, okay.
yeah, something Pearl and something. But yeah, we
Okay.
just
Okay.
rented the place out for. They do it in blocks of time, so we just rented the place out and
Oh,
brought
nice.
you could bring your own food in. So we brought some snarf sandwiches in and stuff, and
Yeah,
my kiddo made cupcakes, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
that's awesome. So what advice would you have for someone that's starting in the business right now? What's one of the first things that you would do if you're just getting started?
I would tell them to build your relationships because it's a
Mhm.
relationship business. You build your relationships. Again, most of my business, if not all of my business, is built on my relationships with my CrossFit friends, with my coworkers. I mean, like my coworkers, my team. It's a relationship business. So I would say, build your relationships, and the business will come.
Okay. Okay. It's funny because it's pretty rare that I talk to someone that's a high producer like yourself that says, buy internet leads or, call up
Oh,
Zillow and get on the premier agent list,
yeah, I don't do
things
any
like
of those
that.
things. Yeah. I
It's
would
almost
say
always
this
relationship.
year I did try a new thing. It's called Making It Rain with EXP, and it's really they just filter through your social media. And
Hmm.
I had one closing so far from it. I started in October, and I've had one closing, and just a super nice lady that came from Texas ended up being a cash buyer. And honestly, you know what she said to me? She goes, "You called me back," and I was like, "Well, yeah." And she was like, "You're the only one." She was like, "I was so grateful that somebody actually touched base with me." And I was like, "What do
That's
you
funny.
mean?" And she was like, "You immediately called and you immediately texted me, and you were," and I was like, "Well, there you go." So that's the other thing I would say is call your clients back, because
Yep.
answer your phone. Those are the other things too. Answer your phone, call your clients back, you know, build your
Just,
relationships. Yep.
yeah, basic business.
Basic business. And honestly, she'll be a client for life. She moved from Texas. I picked her up at the airport because she couldn't get a rental car because there were no rental cars. I said, "I'll just come get you." Drove down to the airport, picked her up. She bought a beautiful $800,000 house in Greeley,
Hmm.
cash, in two
Nice.
weeks.
Wow.
So, I mean, like, I answered the phone. I went, she was like, "I can't believe you came and got me." And I was like, "Well, how else would this have worked if I went and come and got you? Because you didn't have a car." It was totally
Right. Right.
fine. Yeah. So that's, again, building those relationships. You know, and then my husband had to go meet the locksmith to change the locks at her new house before she got here too. So those are those things, going a little bit above and beyond, because
Mhm.
she's coming from Texas with her two little kids into a house that had to have new keys, you know? So those are
Mhm.
things that, going above and beyond. And I think that always, again, is building that relationship.
Yeah. Yep. Sets you apart for sure.
Now, hopefully that's
Yeah.
the
Well,
goal, you know?
obviously it seems to be working for you.
Yeah, it's been working
Um,
pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if we were to fast forward 2 years from now, let's say you were looking back at the past 2 years, what kinds of things will you have accomplished that you'd be proud of?
Well, I think if I can help as many people as I can help, I'll be thrilled. At the end of the day, I never really worry about what I'm making or how many sales I had or what volume I'm at or any of those things. You have to not be attached to that. You have to be attached to helping that person. No matter what it
Hmm.
is, pain and pleasure, whatever it is in somebody's life, if you can help them, the money will come, your transactions will come, your volume will be there. If you come from a
Hmm.
place of, "I'm here to serve you and do what's best for you," if I can do those and do those things well, I'll be thankful.
Wow. Drop the mic. That's well said. Well said. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show today. It's really
Thank
cool to
you.
hear about
Thank
what you're
you.
doing in your business. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to that awesome interview with Donna. Hope you guys got some great nuggets from that interview and got some great ideas on things that you can implement in your business. If you want to connect with Donna, I've shared all of her social media links below in the description of this podcast, and also a link to her website. So go connect with her so you can follow what she's doing and learn even more. And if you enjoyed the show, please share it with your friends in the industry. Subscribe and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, my name is RJ Baxter with Intercap Lending. Thank you again for listening.